It's funny how life has a way of slapping you in the face when you least expect it. Just when I thought I had it all figured out, family, career, respect, things started unraveling faster than a boxer's jab in the ring. I guess I should have known something was off when the gym started feeling less like home and more like a battleground, but I didn't expect it to be my fight. I'm Jeremy Stanton, 37 years old, and a former middleweight champion. After 5 long years of self-imposed exile from the ring, I'm back in the gym, working my ass off to get back into shape. A lot's changed in the time I've been gone. The world moves fast, but I've always believed in the power of time and persistence. But it wasn't just the physical side of it that threw me for a loop, it was the mental game. And right now, the biggest thing playing in my head isn't the weights or the punches, it's Michelle. My wife, Michelle. She's 34, gorgeous, and when it comes to my comeback, she's my so-called trainer. Or, at least, that's what she's portraying on her Instagram live streams. I don't mind it at first. It's kind of cute, her posing as the perfect supportive wife, cheering me on, feeding me healthy shakes, making sure I'm hitting my milestones. It feels good to have her there, to have someone constantly in my corner. But there's always something about her live streams, something a little too perfect. Every time she's on camera, her smile, her tone, the way she speaks about me, it's like she's selling something. But it's not just about me. Then one afternoon, the familiar face of Riley Knox, a 24-year-old rookie boxer who I've been mentoring for the past few months, pops up on the live stream. He's working on some footwork drills, and as I'm sweating it out with some heavy bag punches, I hear Michelle's voice, sweet and casual, calling him a sweet martyr. She gives him this look, this tender look. It's one of those glances that you just know isn't about sport. It's the kind of look you give someone when you've been a little too close, a little too comfortable for it to be innocent. And, of course, someone noticed. Someone always notices. A screenshot is posted on Twitter moments later, with the caption, "At Mich Stanton's look says it all, #champion or cheated?" That hit me like a gut punch. A public, embarrassing gut punch. I laugh it off at first, but deep down, something's eating at me. What the hell is going on? Why am I the only one who doesn't see it? By the time the next week rolls around, I'm preparing for a press conference. Big things coming. The high-profile fight that could either make or break my return to the sport. But, as I'm standing in front of the cameras, microphone in hand, a journalist throws me a curveball. He asks, "Is it true that your student, Riley Knox, is your wife's new favorite not only in sports?" Silence. A heavy silence that settles in like a cloud. I'm confused, my mind racing for an answer that makes sense. I look over at Michelle, who's sitting beside me, a little too still. Her eyes are wide, like a deer caught in headlights. "No," I say, hoping I'm wrong about what I'm about to say. That's not true. But I can feel it. The tension is thicker than a heavy bag I've been pounding for hours. After the press conference wraps, I approach Michelle. She swears it's nothing, that it's all just a misunderstanding. But I can't shake the feeling that something's off. That night, as I'm falling asleep beside her, she leaves her phone unlocked on the nightstand. I glance over. One message catches my eye, just one. It's from Riley. "It's hard for me to be around him when I want to be with you in the ring and in bed." I feel the world stop for a moment. Like everything I've worked for, everything I've loved, has come crashing down in an instant. I don't know how to react. I don't know what to say. But I don't need to. The message says it all. The trust is gone. The foundation is cracked. That night, I didn't sleep. I couldn't. I stared at the ceiling, replaying that message over and over in my head. It's hard for me to be around him when I want to be with you in the ring and in bed. It wasn't just a betrayal, it was a declaration. A declaration that everything I thought was real, everything I'd worked for, was crumbling. My wife, Michelle, was having an affair with my protégé, Riley Knox. It wasn't just about cheating, it was about something bigger. A strategic takeover of my life, my legacy, my career. Riley was a young, hungry boxer with potential, and Michelle? She was the one person who should have been in my corner, keeping me focused, keeping me grounded. But now, it was all falling apart. The next morning, I confront Michelle. I'm not angry, not yet, but I'm calm, too calm. It's the calm before the storm, the kind of calm that comes when you realize you've been blindsided and now you're just waiting for the pieces to fall into place. I don't yell. I don't throw accusations right away. Instead, I ask her about the message. She insists it's nothing, that I'm overreacting, that I'm reading too much into it. "It's not what you think," she says, but I can hear the shakiness in her voice. She's trying to make it sound normal, like it's just a part of the journey, part of the process. But I know the truth now. She might be lying to herself, but she's not lying to me. There's too much in her eyes, too much in her demeanor. She's guilty, and she knows it. She promises me that it's not a big deal, that it's just something she said in passing. But how can you say something like that in passing? How can you flirt with my protege, the one I've been putting everything into, the one I'm grooming to be my successor, and not expect me to see it? I walk away from her, feeling the coldness creep into the room. I leave for the gym, trying to keep my head straight. My body moves, my muscles ache, but my mind is elsewhere. Every punch I throw feels like I'm hitting something invisible, something I can't touch, but I know it's there. The weight of betrayal is heavier than any dumbbell, heavier than the ropes I used to climb in training. But I have to keep it together. I can't let anyone see that I'm unraveling. Especially not Riley. Later that week, things get worse. A journalist, a guy I've known for years, approaches me after a training session. He's got that sly grin on his face, the kind that only comes with knowing something the rest of the world doesn't. "Hey, Jeremy," he says, his voice low, "is it true that your student is your wife's new favorite, not just in the ring?" He looks at me like he's waiting for me to crack, and I can feel it in my chest, the sting of the question, the sting of what he's insinuating. I force myself to laugh it off, to brush it aside like it's just another dumb rumor, but my heart isn't in it. Michelle's sitting next to me, and I glance over at her. She's frozen, like a deer in the headlights. For a moment, she doesn't know what to say. I can tell she's trying to keep it cool, but the tension is palpable. Everyone's waiting for me to react, to give them a story. So I do what I've always done. I take control of the narrative. I tell the journalist it's not true. I even throw in a joke to lighten the mood, but I can see the doubt in their eyes. I can feel it creeping in, like the dark clouds before a storm. That night, I go home and wait. Michelle, unaware that I've already seen the messages, acts like nothing's wrong. She goes through the motions, feeding me dinner, telling me about her day, and I just sit there, nodding along, pretending everything is fine. But I'm not fine. I'm not even close. And I don't know if she knows how deep this cut goes. It's not just about infidelity anymore. It's about the destruction of everything I've built. My legacy, my reputation, my career, it's all on the line. The next morning, when she leaves her phone unlocked, I don't hesitate. I grab it and open the message. It's from Riley again. It's hard for me to be around him when I want to be with you in the ring and in bed. The words burn through me, each one like a knife in my gut. I don't need to ask her about it this time. I know. Riley is my protege. I've been mentoring him, training him, trying to make him into a champion. But it turns out he's been plotting something bigger than that. Something that goes far beyond boxing. And now I've got to figure out how to deal with it, because I'm not just going to let him take everything from me. I've spent too long building my career, my family, my life, and I'm not going to let some young kid steal it all away. But I can't do this alone. I need to talk to someone who understands the game, someone who's seen it all, someone who knows how to fight back when everything seems lost. That's when I reach out to Jason. He was my trainer back in the day, the one who helped me become the champion I once was. I call him up, set up a secret training session. What I don't tell him is that this session isn't about getting me back into the ring. It's about getting back at them. The moment I walk into the gym to meet Jason, I feel a sense of relief, but it's not the kind of relief you get from a workout or a friendly handshake. It's a relief that comes from knowing I'm about to confront the truth head-on. Jason's been out of the game for a while, but he's still got that fire in his eyes. He looks like he's been through the ringer, and I'm sure he has. Jason's the kind of guy who's seen it all, from championship wins to the darkest side of the fight world. He's the kind of trainer who would teach you to box with a broken heart if that's what it took to win. He knows how the sport works. He knows how betrayal works. That's why I trust him with the secret I'm about to share. We don't waste any time. Jason starts me off with some light shadowboxing to get my blood flowing, but I'm not really focused on the punches. I'm focused on what I'm about to ask him. After a few rounds, I turn to him. "I need you to do something for me," I say, keeping my voice low, like I'm about to ask him to break the law. "I need you to get me some footage." Surveillance footage from the gym. He raises an eyebrow. He's smart, and he knows I'm not asking for something as simple as a sparring session. "What kind of footage?" Jason asks, his tone suspicious but calm. I take a deep breath, trying to keep my cool. "I need footage of Michelle and Riley. From the last few nights. I don't care about the details, just get me whatever you can." Jason looks at me for a second, his eyes narrowing. It's like he's processing everything, understanding that I'm not just asking out of curiosity. I'm asking because I already know what's going on. He nods, his face hardening. "I'll see what I can do. That's all I need. I don't want to explain myself any further. I don't need to. Jason's been around long enough to understand the weight of what's at stake. He knows I'm not asking just for some petty gossip. I'm asking because something's gone horribly wrong, and I need answers. As the session continues, I push myself harder, trying to drown out the thoughts of Michelle and Riley. But they keep creeping in. I can't shake the image of her with him, laughing, touching his shoulder like she's never touched mine. I can't shake the voice in my head telling me I've been played for a fool. But all that anger, that frustration, it fuels my training. I pound the heavy bag harder, imagining I'm hitting Riley's face, not the bag. Every jab, every cross, feels like a punch to the gut of everything I've worked for. Later that night, when I'm back in my apartment, Jason calls me. His voice is steady, but there's something behind it. Something I can't quite place. "I've got the footage you asked for," he says. "Meet me at the old gym. I'll show you everything." My heart skips a beat. I grab my jacket and head out without a second thought. I don't even need to think about it. I need to see this footage, because once I do, I know it'll either destroy me or make me stronger than ever. When I get to the gym, the lights are low, and Jason is already there, waiting. He's sitting at the desk, the computer screen in front of him, and he's got that look in his eyes, the kind of look a man gets when he's seen something that's left a scar on his soul. "Take a seat," he says, his voice quieter than usual. I sit down across from him, my hands clenched into fists, trying to control the rage bubbling up inside me. Jason clicks a few buttons, and the footage starts playing. It's grainy at first, but then I see it, Michelle and Riley, training late at night. Riley's throwing punches at the bag, and Michelle's standing beside him, guiding his movements. Her hands aren't wearing gloves. She's holding him, touching his arms, his shoulders, her fingers trailing down his chest as she whispers something in his ear. The look on her face, it's not the look of a trainer, it's the look of someone who's deeply invested in the moment. I feel the blood drain from my face. It's not just the physical contact, it's the way she looks at him. It's the way her eyes linger on him, like she's saying more than just words. And then it hits me, the betrayal isn't just happening behind closed doors. It's happening in the open, in the gym where I trained for years, where I poured my sweat and blood. It's happening with Riley, the kid I took under my wing, the kid I thought I was helping to rise above the rest. But now I see it. He wasn't looking for a mentor. He was looking for a way to take everything from me. Jason clicks the video off, and for a moment, there's only silence. I can't speak. I'm frozen. Everything inside me is screaming, but I can't even move. Jason's watching me, waiting for a reaction, but I don't have one. Not yet. I'm not ready to give in to the anger. Not yet. But the reality is clear now. Michelle, Riley, they're playing a game, and I've been the fool. I've been the punchline of their twisted little scheme, and I've been too blind to see it. But now I see it, and there's only one thing left to do. I have to play the game, and I have to win. I didn't think I'd get to this point. I thought I could just walk away, maybe step back and let things fall into place. But after seeing that footage, everything changed. I wasn't going to let Riley or Michelle take what was mine. Not my legacy, not my career, and certainly not my wife. The truth was out there now, in full view, and it was up to me to make sure it was heard. So, I decided to play their game, but on my terms. I had the upper hand now, and I wasn't going to let them think they could walk away unscathed. The plan started simple enough. I'd announce a sparring match between myself and Riley, a pre-match spectacle for the upcoming fight. People love drama, love the idea of two fighters going head-to-head, especially when there's a personal story behind it. Everyone thought it would be just another exhibition, a chance for me to knock the rust off before the real fight. What they didn't know was that I wasn't planning on just fighting him. I wasn't going to let this go without exposing everything. I wasn't going to let Riley steal my life without him paying the price. The day of the sparring match arrived, and the atmosphere in the gym was electric. The crowd was buzzing, but there was something different in the air, something thick with anticipation. I could feel the tension hanging like a storm cloud. Riley was in the locker room, prepping for the fight, and I knew he had no idea what was coming. He thought this was just a normal training session, just a chance to prove himself in front of the fans. But I wasn't here for that. I was here for revenge, here to show everyone what kind of man he really was, and what kind of woman Michelle had become. As I stood in the locker room, lacing up my gloves, I could feel my heart pounding. I wasn't nervous, not even close. I was angry. I was ready to expose every lie, every moment of weakness. Riley might have been the new kid on the block, but he was about to learn what it meant to steal from the wrong person. I walked into the ring with a purpose, my eyes locked on Riley. He looked calm, even confident, but I could see the nervousness in his posture. He thought this was just a game, but I had other plans. As soon as the bell rang, we started moving. Me with controlled aggression, him with that unrefined energy he thought was enough to take me down. We danced around the ring for a few minutes, trading jabs, testing each other's defenses. But I wasn't just testing him. I was making sure that every punch I threw had a purpose. Every movement was deliberate, calculated. And then I started. Mid-fight, I began to drop hints, little things that the audience wouldn't catch right away but would make Riley squirm. As I dodged a punch, I shouted out, "Remember that date you and Michelle went to, the one she told me about?" I remember it like it was yesterday. Riley's face froze for a second, his guard dropping just enough for me to land a solid shot to his ribs. The crowd went wild, but they had no idea what was really going on. I wasn't just calling out punches. I was calling out truths that everyone needed to hear. I kept going, shouting out more names, more dates, more phrases Michelle had written to him. How's it feel to know I was always just a shadow in the ring? But you got to live in my spotlight. I saw Riley flinch, his eyes darting to the sidelines. Michelle was sitting in the stands, watching, but she had no idea what was coming. She was still playing the perfect wife, the perfect trainer, cheering me on. But I was making sure everyone in that gym knew the truth. The audience started to pick up on it. The comments started flooding in, on Twitter, Instagram, even the live stream. People were starting to connect the dots. "It's a trap," one commenter said. "He knew everything all along," another one added. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't just exposing Riley for what he was. I was exposing Michelle too. This wasn't just a fight for a title. It was a fight for the truth. It was a fight for my life, my family, and my dignity. The match went on, but it didn't matter anymore. Riley was losing, but it wasn't just because I was the better fighter. He was losing because he was realizing, in real time, that he had been caught. He had been exposed, not just by me, but by the whole world. The cameras were rolling, the crowd was watching, and Michelle was there, completely blindsided. I could see the shock on her face as the truth unfolded in front of her. It was like the floor had been ripped out from under her, and she was falling, but she didn't know how to stop it. Riley didn't even have the chance to recover. He was on the canvas, staring up at the lights, breathing heavily, unable to get up. The audience was in a frenzy. And me? I turned to the camera, staring straight into the lens, speaking to everyone watching. "I didn't come back for a title," I said, my voice steady and calm. "I came for the truth. And it looks like I got it right here on live TV." I turned my back on Riley and Michelle. Michelle, who was still sitting in the stands, tears streaming down her face. Riley, who had been my student, my protégé, lying unconscious on the canvas. It was all out there now, all of it, for the world to see. And I had won. Not because I was the better boxer that night, but because I had exposed the betrayal for what it was. I had played the game, and I had made sure the truth won. The aftermath was a whirlwind. The fight, the betrayal, the chaos, it all hit the world like a tidal wave. In the days following that sparring match, I watched everything unfold from a distance, my name trending in every corner of the internet, my legacy now forever tied to the truth I had exposed. The comments flooded in, and while some sympathized with me, others were disgusted by Michelle's actions, her affair with Riley. Fans were quick to pick sides, as they always are, but the one thing that stood out to me in all the noise was how quickly Michelle's image crumbled. She had built herself up as the perfect wife, the supportive trainer, the woman who was always by my side. And now, that image was shattered. The videos, the live streams, the interviews, everything she had carefully crafted came crashing down around her. People saw her for what she really was, and the backlash was swift. In the boxing world, there was no room for a traitor. And Michelle had become the very thing she had always despised. She had no place in that world anymore. Riley, on the other hand, wasn't exactly untouched by the storm. Sure, he was young, ambitious, and talented, but he had made a fatal mistake. He had thought that by getting close to Michelle, by betraying me in the most intimate way possible, he could climb to the top. But what he hadn't realized was that the truth would always come out. He wasn't a champion, he was a puppet, and I had just cut his strings. The public fallout was brutal. His career, which had been just beginning, now seemed to crumble before it had even fully started. He lost sponsors, opportunities, and the respect of the people who had once cheered for him. He wasn't just knocked out in the ring, he was knocked out of the entire boxing world. It was poetic, in a way. A young man's ambition destroyed by his own desire for something that wasn't his to take. As for Michelle, well, her downfall was even harder to watch. It wasn't just about her betrayal, it was about the way she had lived this lie, building herself up as this untouchable figure while secretly planning to tear down everything I had worked for. She had convinced herself that she could have it all, that she could play both sides of the game and come out on top. But in the end, she lost everything. The press turned on her, the fans abandoned her, and the boxing world, which she had once been a part of, turned its back. The interviews I had seen her give, where she spoke about loyalty and trust, now felt hollow, like a bad joke. People weren't buying the act anymore. She had no one to turn to, not even me. I didn't care if she was my wife, what she did was unforgivable. But I wasn't done yet. I had taken the first step in reclaiming what was mine. Now, I had to ensure I was on top when the dust settled. The world may have turned on Michelle and Riley, but that didn't mean my career would simply fall into place. I wasn't going to let that happen. I knew what I had to do next. I wasn't just returning to the ring to win fights. I was coming back to rebuild my legacy. And that's when I started my own coaching program. It was a response to everything that had happened, a response to the betrayal I had faced. I wasn't just going to teach fighters how to box. I was going to teach them how to survive the worst kind of betrayal, because, believe me, that's a fight no one is ever ready for. My program wasn't just about physical strength, it was about mental fortitude, the ability to stand strong when the world is crashing down around you. The slogan for my program became a battle cry for those who had faced betrayal. Pain makes you strong. The truth makes you invincible. It wasn't just a slogan. It was my truth, the truth I had fought for, the truth I had bled for. And I made sure everyone knew it. The tournaments began to feel different. My name was no longer just synonymous with boxing. It was now tied to something bigger, something that transcended the sport. Fighters started to seek me out, not just for my ability to train them physically, but for the resilience I could teach them. I wasn't just shaping champions. I was shaping men and women who could face the worst life could throw at them and still stand tall. My gym became a place for those who had been knocked down, who had been betrayed by those they trusted, and who needed to rebuild their lives. I knew the pain, and I knew how to turn it into strength. I wasn't just a coach, I was a symbol of survival. As for Michelle, she became a ghost in the boxing world. She was no longer the figure that trainers and fighters looked up to. No one would trust her again. She was out of the game, her reputation destroyed. And Riley? He signed a contract, but it wasn't with the manager he had hoped for. It wasn't with anyone who could help him rise. He was a cautionary tale now, a reminder of what happens when ambition blinds you to the reality of loyalty. Looking back, I realized something. What I went through, what I survived, wasn't just about boxing. It wasn't about the fame, the titles, or even the betrayal. It was about truth. The truth about who people are, about who they can become when given the right circumstances. The truth about my own strength, my own ability to fight back when the world tried to take everything from me. The truth made me invincible, and now, I was a champion in more ways than one. I didn't just survive the pain. I used it to build something stronger than I ever could have imagined. And that's how I ended up not just a fighter, but a force in the boxing world. I didn't just come back for a title. I came back for the truth. And it turns out, that's the only thing worth fighting for.